It's 6:30. Go ahead and do a roll call.
Yes, sir. Of course, first on the roll call, Mayor Owens.
Here.
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Selby.
Here.
Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Walker.
Here.
Commissioner Mann.
Here.
Commissioner Burke.
Here.
And Commissioner Borland.
Here.
All right, Mr. Mayor, you have
All right.
a floor.
All right. We'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Start it off, James.
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States,
United States of America, to the republic
Which
which
is
belongs
one nation,
to God,
God,
indivisible.
liberty and justice for all.
That was a fiasco. I forgot, we'll go ahead and have a moment of silent meditation, if we will, please. All right, we gotta have a motion for adoption agenda, James, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, can we have a motion
I move
for
to
adoption agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda. This is Christine.
All right, second?
This is Betty. I'll second it.
All right, the motion is second. We adopt the agenda. Take a poll, James.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
Hello?
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
I'm on the other phone. I'm in a meeting.
All right, Mr. Mayor, the motion carries unanimously to adopt the agenda.
Hello? I
Yes,
lost you.
sir.
Oh, I lost you. Did we finish with that?
Yes, sir. A motion passes unanimously, sir.
Okay, now we gotta have a motion for the consent agenda, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, somebody make a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda. This is Christine.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Richie. I'll
All right, we have a motion, a second to the consent agenda anyhow, by everybody. Take a poll, James.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carries unanimously.
All right, we have a consent agenda. Go ahead, James, take off public hearings.
Yes, sir. Agenda item number 5. This is called public hearings. Now, in this particular case, these hearings will be held, but the board will not actually take action on them until the next meeting in accordance with the new state legislation that will require additional 24 hours. The town attorney will speak to that more fully when we get to the second of the public hearings. However, we just want to let the public know that there will be actions related to public hearings, to open, close them, et cetera. So there will be motions, et cetera, but the actual decisions won't be made at this meeting. Item number 5A, this is a legislative form of public hearing. This is for the zoning district designation for town-owned property at 0 Sir Walter Raleigh Street. We have on hand Town Planner Melissa Dickerson to provide the staff report.
Testing. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Before you tonight is a public hearing for zoning district for 0 Sir Walter Raleigh Street. In my staff report, I've noted the Dare County parcel number as this property has not been assigned an address. This is a town-owned property that you all held a public hearing for annexation on September the 2nd, 2020. You all voted in favor of annexation for 0 Sir Walter Raleigh Street on September the 16th, 2020. Assigning a zoning designation is the next step for this property. The property is currently zoned as Dare County R2 medium density residential. The planning board considered the matter at their December 8th, 2020 meeting and made a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to designate this property as R2 general residential. The density for R2 general residential in the town of Manteo is the same as its current designation in the county, which is 6 units per acre. The Board of Commissioners set a public hearing for today. The notice of public hearing was published in the newspaper and on the town's website. And included with my staff report was a map to show the location of the property. And of course, the same map is provided on the screen here tonight.
Thank you, Town Planner Dickerson. And from the board's perspective, we do need to have a public hearing on this proposed zoning district designation. So there would need to be a motion to go ahead and open that legislative hearing on this matter.
All right, James, let me ask you, could we go do A and B at the same time as far as the motion? You got to do one, then do the other.
No, sir, we do need to do them separately. So
Okay.
in this case, it would only be for the zoning designation.
All right, well, go ahead. We'll entertain a motion to get started with a legislative public hearing on the town-owned property at Sir Walter Raleigh Street. Can we have a motion?
I move to open the legislative hearing on zoning district for 0 Sir Walter Raleigh.
All right, second?
I'll second. This is Christine.
All right, there's been a motion, a second on public hearings A, legislative public hearing for the zoning district for Sir Walter Raleigh Street. Take a poll, James.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we have approval of the motion. So have you, the hearing will be when now?
In this particular case, we're going to take public comment now. So I'm going to look first to the audience and then to
Okay.
members who are on the audio on the teleconference. So first I'll look at the audience. Do any audience members care to speak at the public hearing? And seeing the answer is no, for our listening audience, we'll now turn to the screen. So for folks who are dialing in and want to speak regarding the zoning designation for this property, please hit *9 on your phone and it will raise your hand so that we can recognize you by the last 4 digits of your phone. So we're looking at the attendees here, and we have a half a dozen attendees. And any of those attendees would like to speak on the zoning designation, please hit *9 on your phone so we can recognize you. Right. Seeing none, well, I'll go ask a third time. If you would like to speak at this time, hit *9 on your phone and you'll be recognized. Mr. Mayor, we do not see anybody on the screen who've raised their hands in this case. If you should choose to move forward, we would need a motion and a vote to close the hearing on this matter.
All right. Let's take a vote. Who wants to close this public hearing on A? Damn, I never seen so many motions. Go ahead.
I move to close the legislative hearing on the zoning district for 0 Sir Walter Raleigh.
All right, a second.
I'll second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Take a poll, James.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
I'm on a time board meeting.
And
doing all
Commissioner
right?
Walker, aye or
You got
nay?
shot.
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Now do we set a date, or are we done with it?
That was 5A. We're done with that one for right now. And then for our listening audience, because there is a 24-hour period by which they can, the members of the public can have their voice heard, what they would do at this point, if they want to make a comment on this, is they should send an email to the town manager and within 24 hours of this meeting. And that email address for the town manager is jayers, that's JAYERS @manionc.gov. So that's jayers@manionc.gov. You send a note to me within the next 24 hours. It will be noted at the next session where the board will take their action. And that's it for item number 5A, Mr. Mayor. If you'd like, we'll move on to item 5B.
Move on to B.
Okay. For the public, item 5B, this is a quasi-judicial proceeding in which we'll have an evidentiary hearing for a conditional use permit amendment for Manteo High School. Now, this is a special type of hearing. We referred to it last time for those who attended the previous meeting. We will have guidance from our town attorney on this matter, as he has led these types of hearings in the past. So I'm going to pass the microphone to the town attorney, Ben Gallup.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ayers. Mr. Mayor, I think the first thing to do would be appropriate to have a motion to open the quasi-judicial evidentiary public hearing.
All right. Can we have a motion to open the quasi-judicial public hearing for conditional use of Manteo High School? Can we have a motion?
So moved.
All right, second.
I second it. This
This is Darrell, I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the quasi-judicial public hearing. Take a poll, James, or Ben, one of you. I don't know which one.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay?
aye.
Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Now the motion carries. We'll move on, I guess. Ben, you take back over.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right.
So we're here now for a quasi-judicial hearing on whether or not to grant a conditional use permit to the Board of Education for changes at Manteo High School that has previously been under a conditional use permit. You all attended the meeting a couple weeks ago where David Owens told you all a lot about quasi-judicial hearings, and I've got a long form spiel that I'm not going to go through tonight. Essentially, the way this will work is that staff will provide a description of the project and information under oath, and then the applicant will have a chance to provide any evidence in addition to that. The applicant has the burden of meeting the standards of the ordinance in order to be granted the permit. If they meet the standards of the ordinance, you must grant the permit. All testimony needs to be under oath. The clerk will, in a moment, swear in or affirm anyone who intends to testify. For folks who are online, if there is someone who intends to testify, what I'm going to have the public do is testify at the end. And the difference between the public and the others is they won't be able to question each other. They're not a party. They're just providing evidence. They need to provide relevant evidence. It's really not a venting process, as Mr. Owens pointed out at the last meeting. But for them, I will have the clerk do them one at a time as they pop up with the *9 when we get to that point, instead of trying to figure out who all is going to potentially testify ahead of time from the Zoom world. We'll have the clerk, if anyone raises their hand when we get to that point, swear them in. So the first thing that I will do is ask Ms. Dickerson to come forward on behalf of the town, and Mr. DeLucia here, who is here to give evidence on behalf of the school board, and then have the clerk swear both of them in. Sure.
Ben,
Yes, ma'am.
before that, I probably will not vote since I'm employed with the Board of Education.
Okay. And that's fine. Does anybody have any objection to her not voting? Okay. So with no objection, I think it's your associational relationship with the school board is appropriate for you not to vote.
Wait, you put your hand up. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Both witnesses confirmed that they do. So Ms. Dickerson, if you could provide the staff position on and evidence.
All right, Ben, go ahead, keep on, because I don't know what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Ms. Dickerson, she's getting up to the podium and she's about ready to go, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Gallup. Mayor and Commissioners, as I present to you tonight, I will pause briefly so that you all can see the exhibits shown on the screen before moving along. These exhibits are included with the staff report provided to you all in the agenda packet. On November the 2nd, 2020, staff received an application, Exhibit 1, from Dare County Schools to amend the conditional use permit for Manteo High School. The conditional use permit amendment application proposes to replace the site plan that was previously approved in 2005. The 2005 conditional use permit site plan, or Exhibit 2, notes 2 future locker room facilities as an addition to the softball field house and a new structure in between the baseball field and the football field. Those facilities have not been constructed. The 2020 proposed site plan, or Exhibit 3, changes the location of the field house. Locker rooms and bathrooms will be included in this facility to a location closer to the gymnasium of the school. There is an existing outdoor basketball court that is proposed to be removed, and the field house will be built adjacent to where that outdoor basketball court currently exists. Adjacent property owners were notified by first-class mail of the application on November 24th, 2020, prior to the Planning and Zoning Board's meeting on December 8th, 2020. The Planning Board received 4 phone calls in response to the adjacent property owner notification. At their December 8th, 2020 meeting, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of the conditional use permit amendment to the Board of Commissioners. The proposed building footprint, 60 feet by 80 feet, is adjacent to the existing 60 feet by 80 feet outdoor basketball court that will be removed. There is a very small increase in lot coverage from the existing 25.8% to 26%. Exhibit 3, the proposed 2020 site plan complies with the conditions listed in the conditional use permit and complies with the standards of the ordinance. The Board of Commissioners set a quasi-judicial hearing for today, Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021, at their January 6, 2021 meeting. A notice of the February 3rd hearing, today's hearing, was mailed on January 20th, 2021 to adjacent property owners. In addition to the mailed notice, the hearing notice was published in the newspaper. A large sign containing the hearing notice was also posted on the property. The proposed site plan meets the standards of the ordinance and conditions previously included in the conditional use permit. Exhibit 4 is the current Manteo High School conditional use permit that was permitted in 2005. That concludes my remarks.
Does anyone from the board have any questions for Ms. Dickerson?
This is Darrell. These buildings were already a part of the conditional use permit, but they were not constructed at that time, right?
Yes, Commissioner Collins, that is true. They were just in a different location on the site plan.
Okay, and the field house will include the locker rooms too?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other board members have any questions for Ms. Dickerson? Is there anyone else from staff? Ms. Dickerson, you're going to be the only one to testify from staff?
That's correct.
I'll call Mr. DeLucia up, who is the representative of the school board.
Good evening. It's nice to be with you all here tonight. Is that better? I'm John DeLucia from Albemarle Associates, representing the school board tonight in this conditional use permit hearing. I think Ms. Dickerson has clearly defined it. The high school is in dire need of some new facilities. I think the community is excited about it. You know, they say that it takes the community to raise a child. Well, to raise this field house, we may be asking the community to do. But we think it's in a good location. It's closer to the field. It's probably going to provide some bathrooms, maybe another concession stand. We're looking at it. We've already met with Mr. Ben Cahoon, the architect, to talk about some internals. This facility is very similar to what we have over at First Flight, so it'll be a nice facility.
Does anybody from the board have any questions for Mr. DeLucia?
Yes, this is Richie. I'm sorry. Have you already started construction on the structure?
No, sir. No, sir. But where the basketball court, that outside court is, that's about half of the building. It'll sit right there where that court is.
So there's no power lines run up there as of yet, or anything like
No,
of
nothing.
that nature?
Nothing has been built. We're fortunate that we've got the water and the sewer running right between the new field house location and the existing building. So tapping into the relatively simple in that location.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else from the board have any questions for Mr. DeLucia? Thank you very much, Mr. DeLucia. Seeing no one else for the applicant here, I'll move to the public. There's no members of the public present in the room, so we'll move to the folks who are on our Zoom. If you are a member of the public who would like to testify under oath to relevant testimony to whether or not this conditional use permit should be granted or not, if you could press *9 on your phone, it will raise your hand where we can see that. And then our IT folks will unmute you and allow you to speak. So again, press *9 and we'll be able to know that you would like to speak. Once again, last try. If you would like to speak, provide testimony on this conditional use permit, please press *9 on your phone so that we can see that your hand is raised on the Zoom program. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I don't see anyone who wishes to testify from the public. You've heard, the board has heard all the testimony that's here tonight. Normally, I would say that this would be the time to close the evidentiary hearing and deliberate. However, as Mr. Ayers mentioned, with the legislative public hearing, the statute that the General Assembly passed late last spring, early last summer, regarding remote meetings, unfortunately isn't very clear about how the 24-hour additional notice and comment period works for quasi-judicial hearings. My recommendation is for someone to make a motion to continue the evidentiary hearing to another meeting to allow for 24-hour comment period. However, if the public is listening to this, they should be aware that your comment cannot be received as part of the hearing. You will still need to come to the next meeting and testify, because the key point of the quasi-judicial hearing is everything needs to be under oath and on the record. So written comments are typically not considered. So I think that the best thing to do to ensure that you meet the statute and to ensure that people have their opportunity to have their say is that anyone who provides a written comment in the next 24 hours, that the town responds to them with the recommendation that they come to the meeting, the next meeting, where it will be continued to, so that they can provide their testimony under oath if they desire to do so. So at this point, my recommendation would be for someone to move to continue the evidentiary hearing on this conditional use permit amendment for Manteo High School until 5 p.m. on February 17th, 2021.
All right, you've heard Ben's motion. Will someone make the motion?
This is Richie. I'll make the motion.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion is second to have this quasi-judicial public hearing. I guess you've just moved till the meeting in February to when? Ben, did you suggest?
It's the
17th, I think.
meeting, 5 p.m., February 17th, 2021, Mr. Mayor.
All right, that's part of the motion.
Yes, sir.
All right, take a poll, James.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay? Oh, I'm sorry, we cannot, Mayor Pro Tem Selby is not participating in the vote. Thank you. Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
Aye.
All right. Motion
All
carries.
right, motion carries. We will postpone. We'll have this at February the 6th, I think it is. Anyhow, we'll transfer it till then. All right. This teleconference is hell to me. I'm awkward as I don't know what. I like to look at people. All right, public comment period, James, I guess.
Yes, sir. Item number 6 on the agenda, public comment. This is for information. Members of the public are invited to address the Board of Commissioners on any topic. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions or to take any action on items brought up during the public comment period. Speakers will address all the comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Time limits are 3 minutes per person or 5 minutes per group. Please come forward to the podium and identify yourself so your statements can be recorded. Mr. Mayor, we no longer have people in the audience in terms of the general public. We'll look to the screen here to see if anybody in the virtual audience would like to speak. For those folks who want to speak at public comment, please hit *9 on your phone and it will virtually raise your hand. We'll ask a second time. If anybody would like to speak at public comment, please hit *9 on your phone and your hand will be raised. And a third time. If anybody would like to hit *9 on their phone, that would raise your hand and you'll be recognized. Mr. Mayor, I don't see any hands raised on our screen at this point.
All right. Would anyone like to be heard? All right. Close the comment period, James.
Yes, sir. We'll move on to agenda item number 7. This is new business. Both of the items under new business are for action by the board. Item number 7A, this is a proposed utility easement with CenturyLink at Queen Elizabeth Avenue. As indicated in the staff report that was shared with both the board and the general public this last week, this is a small easement, 5 feet in width, and it has it varies a little bit in its length, but basically it's under and slightly behind the 2 benches along Queen Elizabeth Avenue, right behind the sidewalk there, closest to the waterfront condos. We wanted to make sure to limit the size and location of this easement so that it did not, it wouldn't impinge on future improvements at the site. The CenturyLink folks are providing service to residential and commercial customers in this particular area of town. And we do recommend accepting this particular easement.
All right, James,
Yes, sir.
I've got a question. Do you personally, as the town manager, you've looked at this pretty thoroughly, and you've talked to the phone company. Is there any infringement, or will be an infringement on the future development of that property that by them putting the lines underground? Because once we give them the easement, they're going to raise hell if we try to do something.
Yes, sir. And in fact, both myself and the town planner visited when the CenturyLink folks had sent a subcontractor to the site, and it was cutting across the site, which would have interfered, and we issued a stop work order at that time. Further, when they came back, they wanted to make a 10-foot easement, but that would have started to interfere with some of the any of the proposed improvements there. So we limited them to 5 feet in a very narrow area, and they did comply with that when they did their survey and the
All right.
rest. So we're
All
satisfied.
right, you've answered my question. You stopped them, changed it around. That's good. All right, I don't have any questions. Anybody else? All right, this is open for a motion, isn't it, James?
Yes, sir. We would need a motion that, so because this is a conveyance of an
All
easement
right.
on property, it would
All
require.
right, will someone make the motion that we grant an easement to CenturyLink at Queen Elizabeth Ann Street? You've seen the map, I'm sure. Somebody make the motion?
I'll move.
This is Richie. I'll make the motion. I'm sorry.
All right, second?
Agreement. Century Link.
Amen.
All right, we have a motion, a second, don't we, James?
Did, if I was hearing on the phone correctly, we may have had Commissioner Burke on the second there. Is that correct?
Sure. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was Richie. All right, we have a motion and a second on the utility easement to grant CenturyLink at Queen Elizabeth Avenue. All in favor of the motion, say aye. I'll take a poll, James.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay? Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries unanimously, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion carries. Motion is approved. We'll move on.
Yes, item number 7B on the agenda. This is a proposed contract with Pyrotechnico for July 4th fireworks. In this particular case, we still don't have full knowledge based on what the federal, state, and county governments will guide us in July 4th as to whether we can have crowd gathering associated with the 4th of July. However, in negotiating with our prior fireworks vendor, a contract has been offered in which we would have a contract for this 4th of July. If crowd gathering restrictions are lifted, then we can have the event. However, we would pay the contract, it's written in the contract, there's no penalty if if the pandemic causes us to have to postpone it till later in the year or till the following 4th of July. So that buys us some time to make that decision. But the key here is we have to notify them at least 30 days prior to the event. So we have circled that first week in June to make sure we get our decision to them. But in this particular case, it seems appropriate to go ahead and we have to commit though to the contract in order to save our slot, so to speak. So it would be necessary because this contract it's over the $30,000 limit here, and it's important for us to bring it both to the board and the public so they're aware of the plans our conditional plans we're making. It would require a authorization by the board to allow me to actually execute this contract.
I move to authorize the town manager to execute the proposed fireworks contract between Technico and the town of Manteo.
This is Darrell. James, any money putting up front with this contract?
No, sir. This contract actually, it's part of the negotiations. We still had a credit on the remainder of our deposit from last year, and that credit was $18,000 still on account, and they gave us a $3,500 discount, which was a partial refund from our prior postponement fee. So at this point, there are no out-of-pocket fees, no check that the town has to cut right now. All we have to do is if we hold the event, cut the remainder of the check and hand it to them the day of the show.
Thanks, James. I'll second the motion.
All right, there's a motion and a second as signing a contract with Pyrotech for July 4th fireworks. Any other comments first? All right, James, take a poll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay? Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, motion carries. It's passed. All right, number 8, mayor comments, commissioner comments. I don't have any comments except I apologize again to the board for this awkwardness for this teleconference. I just cannot get used to it, but it won't be as long as it has been, hopefully. And hope we can have the July 4th fireworks and be done with this stuff and move on with life. All right. Who'd like to start it off? Comments?
I'll start it off. This is Richie. This is for, I guess, the town planner. What happened to that second hearing that was supposed to happen tonight, if anything? On, I guess it was Francis Drake Street, maybe? Or behind the hotline area?
I'm sorry, the phone broke up a little bit when you started comment, so I'm not, if you don't mind repeating it, Commissioner, that would be wonderful.
Yes, I was wondering what happened to the second public hearing that was supposed to happen tonight behind the hotline area. I guess it was George Howe Street, maybe?
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll go, the town planner Dickerson is here and can address that for you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Burt. The applicant, Mr. Moore, withdrew his application and
Okay.
submitted a new one. So he will be going to the planning board in March, and then they will have a recommendation for you all later on.
Well, thank you. I was just curious about that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Richie?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
Darryl?
I'm good, Mayor. Thanks.
Okay. Jason?
Yeah, I wanted to, I wanted to make sure we don't lose steam on the, I don't know if we had any kind of update on the 20-year working group and getting the plan back, or getting updates from the work that group did, if that was going to be on working agenda for next meeting, or where that was.
Yes, thank you. And we still have town planner Dickerson here, who has been the staff liaison to the 20-year plan working group.
Commissioner Borland. I've been working on a staff report to share with you all. I have all of those reports, of course, from the subcommittees of the Plan Update Working Group. It's just a capacity issue, honestly. I've had a number of permits come across my desk, including COA. And so I just haven't had a chance to wrap that up. But I do have a working document and hope to be able to wrap that up. I want to wrap it up. I just haven't had a chance to.
I just want to make sure we don't lose steam on all that. It was a lot of hard work from a lot of people. Obviously, yourself included in the room.
Sure, and I think there's going to be some follow-up discussion related to your budget discussions as well, to move forward on that as well. So,
thank you. The other thing I want to mention, I know I don't know who all was on in this room, the Downtown Associates program, but for a kickoff. Town and virtual, which is always difficult, like the mayor was mentioned. I mean, we had, I think, almost 45 people on there. And so I'm excited for that. And I'm even more excited that the community is excited and realize that, it's not just a behind the scenes thing. So good things to come there.
Jason, to follow up on that, it's ironic. I just was downtown today and I went in some of the shops just talking to people, and they're excited about this thing that you got started and getting going, and they like what James is doing, and I think it's going to be exciting for the whole community downtown. But they personally were telling me how they enjoyed the meeting. All right. Anything else, Jason?
No, sir.
All right. Eddie?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the town for putting up the vision board there in front of the town commons. It looks very nice, and it's easy to see the vision of what the town commons are going to be. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay. Betty?
I just wanted to say February is a month that we celebrate Black history. I do know, in my opinion, Black history is every month. But we certainly have some history here on in Dare County, so keep that in mind. And things will be coming out later this month, locally for Black history.
All right, Christine.
No, sir, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Well, that seems to wrap it up, James. Anything else?
No, sir. And in this particular case, the meeting would be recessed until February 17th, 2021 at 5:00 p.m.
February 17th. All right. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I mentioned that
This is Darryl. I motion to recess until,
I made it recess. Thank you, Dale.
5 o'clock.
All right, there's a second to Daryl's motion.
Yes, sir, I second. This is Betty.
All right, there's a motion to second. We recess until February the 17th at 5 o'clock. I guess we take a poll, James.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Selby, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Collins, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann, aye or nay?
Aye.
Commissioner Burke, aye or nay?
Aye.
And Commissioner Borland, aye or nay?
Aye.
Mayor, the ayes have it.
All right, motion carries. We stay in recess till February the 17th. Thank you all.